few. He's been out this season, but I mean, rule of
and
thumb,
what
doesn't matter
I
who's
don't
back
really,
there.
The team had to feel that, the safe guy, quote unquote safe guy, that's obviously Leonard, the guy with the better hands than the return skill. That Poyer has obviously worse hands, but better return skills. At that point in the game, you're behind, you're receiving a punt. You feel that you might benefit by having a return more so than benefit by, having a guy that's definitely going to catch the ball but can't do much with it afterwards. So I've got to believe that was the thinking, that they were hoping for a return. Also might help explain why the guy even fielded the punt on the 2-yard line or inside the 5, when normally that's, frowned upon. And that they were hoping to get a return out of the deal, and because they needed the spark, they were behind, they needed field position, and that's at least my best guess at why Poyer was even in the game after they'd used Leonard for the most part before that. At least it's the only thing rational or coherent that I can come up with that they might have been thinking.
I mean, Dan, you're watching the same stuff we are, so while we're talking about it, you tell me, it doesn't matter who it is, Leonard, Poyer, it doesn't matter if it's Benjamin, whoever's been back there more at various times, does it just seem like nobody wants to return the ball? Nobody really wants to. I mean, when the ball's up in the air, they're looking around. They're so quick to call a fair catch. It's like they love when it goes in the end zone so they don't have to bother with. I don't know. I feel something strange when it comes to returning kicks with this team. Not only is there just no threat of a big return, but I don't know if the dropsies are in some guys' heads, or I don't know, but I see hesitation out of the return game for the most part from no matter who's back there.
Well, I think that maybe the only exception to that would be Travis Benjamin, who is a threat to return the ball, and maybe the hesitance or the yips, if you want to call it that, are a result of Benjamin getting benched for dropping a punt. I mean, like you said, it didn't cost us at the time that when he dropped that ball a couple games ago, because we got bailed out by a penalty.
Yep.
But that was the last time he fielded a punt, if I'm not mistaken. And he's the only guy that they do have back there that's really capable of breaking it. There's really a threat of any kind in the return game. And he's our guy. And at the start of the season, he's our guy. And now he muffs one or two, and he's not our guy anymore. And so
let me ask
the other guys maybe looking over their shoulder.
Well, let me ask you about that. Exactly what you just said. Okay, now I understood, because I was cool. I like Benjamin as a receiver. He's made some decent catches, and I like that. So I get focusing on that. But we pulled Benjamin. The Browns pulled Benjamin from the kick returns after the punt, and we know that. Now you're throwing other guys back there, and the point being is we need guys back there that are going to catch the ball. Okay, Coach, I can dig that argument. Now that the guys back there catching the ball have also put it on the ground, why don't we – I'm just curious. Why have we eliminated Travis Benjamin from this equation? If we've got a shot at Poyer putting it on the ground too, then let's try Benjamin again and see, because he at least does have that big playability. It's one of the things when people thought he wasn't going to be a wide receiver, they said, well, hell, the guy can return punts. Or, hey, everybody's favorite comment for the last 48 hours to me is what Vashon just said in the chat room. Josh Cribbs is somewhere looking for work right now, going, hey, the one thing I did really good is return some kicks, Cleveland. I'd love to come back and return some kicks for you. But if we're in this mode now where you've replaced him and the next guy has also put the ball on the ground, which happens, I'm not blaming. Apparently that was the first time in practice, etc., that Poyer has put the ball on the ground all season. So I get it that you don't expect it to happen. But now that that's happened, do we give Benjamin another shot? I mean, really, why not? I mean, you've got just as much of a chance of Benjamin dropping it as you do anybody else. Let him get back in there and or maybe he doesn't have it either. That's what I mean. They need somebody back there who's just like, you know what? I'm gonna try for some returns instead of being afraid to fumble, being afraid to have bad field position. I just feel that there's no confidence in that special teams unit.
Yeah, a reasonable argument to make, and I have been calling for Benjamin to be our guy. I mean, I remember last year they didn't play him much at wide receiver, because he's smallish and has a hard time getting off the line against press coverage, and he may never be a first-line NFL wide receiver for that reason. Just doesn't have the size to beat the DBs off the line. And besides, we wanted to make him healthy and keep him healthy because he was such a threat in the return game for us. Well, he can if he's not on the field, and so let's get him on the field, because if he's not doing kick returns for you, he's of marginal use to you as a player on your roster. So, yeah, I'd be in favor of going that route and at least having the threat of a big play there. And every punt returner you have back there obviously has shown that he can muff one occasionally, and you live with it because you've got the threat of a touchdown going the other way.
I see him in the chat room. Ron says he just saw Cribbs in Kent on Sunday. He's in great shape and would love to come back, man. I'll tell you. Hey, we got the Hoyer thing going. LeBron came back. I'm pitching the Victor Martinez bandwagon every day. Let's bring another guy home. Let's bring Josh Cribbs home. Let's just bring everybody home. I don't care. You from Cleveland? Come on home, man. That's all. Let's bring Josh Cribbs back home. Real quick, before we segue over, I know we want to preview some Buckeyes here. Going back to what we were talking about, Pablo Sandoval. I was a bit off on the stat. It wasn't consecutive games with a hit, consecutive games reaching base in the postseason. He has now got the third longest streak in baseball history. He's tied with Boo Powell for 25. The two players above him, Chase Utley, had a 27-game streak, and Bruce's boy, Miguel Cabrera, has the longest postseason streak of reaching base. He reached base in 31 consecutive postseason games. That's the record that Sandoval's chasing. And you know what? Just because I don't like Barry Bonds at all, I'm pleased to announce that yesterday Pablo Sandoval passed Barry Bonds for all-time postseason extra base hits. Just another mark. I know nobody's going to knock him off of the big home run mark, but as many as I can see him erased from the stats books, the better. I love Barry Bonds at a certain point in his career, but he's just the trademark for the guy that said, you know what? If they're going to get big, I'm going to get bigger. And all the big records have just been absolutely annihilated, and it drives me crazy.
Yeah, asterisks in the record books. And
drives me nuts.
It's something that, sometimes the game will have to live with in shame for the next couple generations, because this generation of home run hitters from Sosa to Barry and all the others, even the 1 year wonders like Brady Anderson and guys like that that beefed up and hit 50 homers and came in 1 year with biceps the size of tree trunks and hit 50 homers and then never did it before or after. It's a black mark on the game of baseball we'll be living with for a long time.
You know what?
I should have guessed Miggy Cabrera though. That should have been the first two words out of my mouth.
There you go. You know what though?
Guessing at who those guys were.
Since this is just kind of out there, I told you guys I just finished it the other day, and I mentioned that I was gonna tell everybody how good it was anyway. But I just finished American Icon. I think it's like a 4-year-old book or something. It's American Icon. It's about the fall of Roger Clemens and the rise of steroids in baseball, and it goes through all the backstory of Clemens with Brian McNamee and all that stuff, and then a lot of the book is about the investigations with the Mitchell Report and then with Harry Waxman and the congressional investigation and all the, like, you see the shady side of Roger Clemens and the lengths that they went to try to, just the blatant lies, and you see as each layer fell apart in the story, and then as Andy Pettitte turns on him, and everybody, slowly he just was revealed as a giant cheat that lied, and lied. And anyways, but you see all of this, man, and we know the stories, but this was a good book. If you guys if you're interested in that, American Icon, The Fall of Roger Clemens and the Rise of Steroids in Baseball is the name of the book. But it just really, you really, first off, you'll never look at Roger Clemens and what he did the same again. And but you look at how shady, not just Clemens, even though he's the focus of it, but how shady everybody was. How many, I don't want to say innocent, because nobody that helped baseball players use steroids is completely innocent of anything, but how many people were trampled by athletes that had more money and bigger lawyers and were able to not just to call people liars, but ruin people's personal lives and just a lot of, wow, man. And you're like, man, you start to see what big money, big power, big influence can do when people are trying to whistleblow on them, and the lengths that they'll go to keep their secrets and to keep everything quiet.
Yeah, it is, and the tendency on the part of baseball fans, of course, later on as time passes, is to forgive them. Clemens may have been the biggest, most blatant liar, but Barry Bonds, Shirley, and Ryan Braun and people like that certainly are in the top five of the just the most blatant liars, proven to be liars later on, and they just look, straight into the cameras and straight into the reporters' microphones and told blatant untruths. And for Ryan Braun, he's back playing, and these other guys are kind of their lies are slipping into out of people's memories, and I don't know. It's an interesting premise for a book. I'll have to check that out because I would like to learn more about that era.
Yeah, especially it's a lot about Clemens. And I mean, but you'll see the stuff that they, the lawyers, when they decide, hey, man, we're going to deny this, and the shadiness of how they attack people and get into people's personal lives. And next thing you know, like I said, people are, their lives are destroyed. Meanwhile, the person who is the center point of, it's just amazing. The collateral damage that went along with, it doesn't matter if it's Clemens, A-Rod, all of these guys, but that one pointed out.
They're following the lead of politicians who've been doing playing that game for a long time with
that's for sure.
Personal destruction of their political opponents.
That's it, man. I may not be able to beat you with the truth, but I'll out-lawyer you, I'll outspend you, I'll ride you into bankruptcy, I'll accuse you of things in your personal life, I'll destroy your marriage, and then, hey, maybe if you're still around, you'll prove that I use steroids, but you suffered a whole lot along the way to prove me as a steroid user, and so anyways, but it was a good book, and I told people I was reading it a few weeks ago. I just finished it. It took me about 2 weeks. It's a relatively decent-sized book, but yeah, it's a pretty good one. I'm always intrigued on more that we can find out. Plus, you start to see how everybody was secretly selling each other out. McNamee is hanging out with Clemens while he's testifying behind his back to the different committees, and then Andy Pettit sells him out behind the scenes because he decides that he can't deal with the guilty conscience anymore. And Roger Clemens is on the stand going, well, Andy Pettit said I didn't do it. And they pull out the statement. He changed his statement earlier today. He actually changed his statement. And then Clemens is just stammering on the stand like, see, and it was great. That's the stuff that I liked, how they set him up, and they would have him testify purposely and set up all of his lies, and then they would take a break and they would come back later and hit him with everything he lied about, and they'd have documents and they'd have people swearing other stories, and you could watch his face turn and beat red as and his lawyers can't do anything to help him because they set him up. They basically said, here's some cheese, and as he started nibbling, then they said, bam, now we got you in the trap. It was great. It was the old proof. Keep your mouth shut, because every word that you say, you're just burying yourself and you don't even realize it. He literally fed them all the rope that they used to hang him with, and you love to see that happen to a shady guy like that, man.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I definitely have to pick that book up.
Yeah, it's good stuff, man. But anyways, all right, man. You guys know I can't never miss an opportunity to rage about. I love the steroids era and how shady it was, and we're going to be talking about that 50 years from now. I don't love what it did, but looking back on it, it's a fascinating slice of American sports history and how in the hell people allowed that to happen. All right, let's get back to the football field. Let's talk some NCAA, baby. College football. Buckeyes under the lights. We've talked about a big whiteout game coming up this weekend. Penn State, it's under the lights. First of several in a row here, building to Michigan State. But don't look ahead, because this one here has its own pitfalls and traps.
Yeah, that's true. It's always a rough environment to play in. Buckeyes have won 4 of the last 5 times they've played in Happy Valley, though. It seems like they've done it historically. They've done it recently with defense, with interception returns for touchdowns, really going all the way back to Chris Gamble in 2002 and all the way up to 2 years ago when Ryan Shazier broke a halftime tie with an early third quarter pick six for a touchdown. And in between, there are 3 other games where the Buckeyes returned interceptions for touchdowns in Happy Valley to spark victory. So maybe that happens again this time. But it looks to me, Jerry, like this Penn State offense just doesn't have enough